So after living in Thailand for a while, about a year, close to a year, and then going to Laos, there was a big difference. Thailand, to give you an idea, it's more westernized, I guess you can say. There's a lot more commercial marketing and that sort of living, businesses and stuff like that. So with that, there was advertising. There's some of the same things that you see in our world here in America, just maybe sometimes morality that can go down and stuff. People show free, there's free reign and speech and opinions and stuff like that. Going to Laos was really awesome. I will say the greatest thing I loved was the modesty. It was a huge difference, and it was awesome. All the women would wear skirts in Laos, these sort of Laotian skirts. It was a really cool fabric, and they would wear it. It was always just past their knees, maybe about halfway down their shins sometimes. So it was really modest, and it was a huge difference on just how you stay focused as a missionary, walking down the street and talking to people. In Thailand, it's not as much like that. It's more westernized in America, where people wear shorter clothing or more revealing clothing, and even billboards or posters where they can show a little more immodesty. So that was a huge difference. In Thailand, there's a joke that they say there's 3 seasons where it's hot, hotter, and then hottest. But in actuality, which it feels like that sometimes, but there's the dry season, wet season, and then the cold season. So it doesn't really get that cold ever unless you're up in northern Thailand, which my first area was. It can get chilly in the mornings, mostly, and at night. Sometimes you'll see a fog, mist, early in the mornings, which is really cool. That was my first area. So like the very first morning I got there, when we got off the night bus, I got off and there was kind of this fog, and it was just quiet, small town, and that was kind of my first view of northern Thailand. It was chilly, but they'll wear big coats and earmuffs and everything while we're still wearing our short sleeve white shirts and stuff on our bikes. So, and it gets really hot after the cold season, mostly March, April. April's the hottest month. And then May, then June and July, August are kind of the wet months from what I could tell from the 2 years I was there. It would start to rain a lot and a ton and more and then more and more. So it flooded a few times in the streets where we'd walk through floods with our shoes. So I would totally recommend getting 2 pairs of shoes, the same by the way, and then switching them out every day. They'll last so much longer and they go through a lot. So in Thailand, the people are very friendly, especially to foreigners. I think there's a lot of tourism in Thailand, and that's where they get a lot of their income. So they're very especially good to foreigners, which is nice. And there's a lot of different things you can do. Thailand's known to be a kind of that's where you go, or a tourist destination. What's the word? When you retire, a retired destination. And so a lot of people will go there. You'll meet a lot of foreigners and stuff in Thailand. Most people, when you go out into Thailand, there's a lot of people who do their own small businesses, selling foods on the street. There's a lot of little restaurants and vendors, which is fun because you get to try a lot of different foods. And if you need food, you just walk down the street a little bit and you'll always find food. In Laos, there's not as many vendors. And work-wise, where I was in Laos, in Vientiane, the capital of the city, there's more government buildings and stuff like that. Vientiane is a communist country still. Thailand's not. It's a lot more westernized. And so in Laos, it's a lot cleaner in Vientiane. It's a lot cleaner roads, and there's more cars. Whereas in Thailand, especially in Bangkok, you'll see buses, taxis a lot. In Vientiane, there's big trucks. I noticed that there's a lot of big trucks and nicer cars that you would see where you wouldn't see them in Thailand. This is all in Vientiane. And with all these big government buildings and the cleanliness, and you see a lot of modesty, then you just go outside a little bit from the main part of the city, and it turns very quickly into dirt roads, red dirt roads, very poor, more poor than you see in Thailand. Poverty, more people who do little businesses and small vendors and stuff like that. Some people live their whole lives just peeling apart in peppers into little pans. You'll see them. They do that day after day until they're 80. Like, sometimes it's kind of sad. But like I said, they're very kind people. In Laos, for example, we went to the early morning market on Saturday to get some vegetables and food for the week. We left behind a bag of fruit after we paid for it and everything. With all the other bags we picked up, we took off, and we realized we forgot our fruit. We came back, and the lady had held on to this bag of fruit for us until we came back. Then she gave it to us. So they're very kind in that way, in that regard. So they very honest people and things like that. In Thailand, there's quite a few places. There's a lot of waterfalls. Mainly when I was up in the northern Thailand, I went to a lot of places. There's famous Wat, which you'll hear Wat a lot, which is a Buddhist temple. In Chiang Mai and Chiang Rai, the elephants. You'll get to ride an elephant, which is pretty fun, pretty cool. A lot of animal life. You can see tigers, elephants, big snakes. One of the areas you can see monkeys, which you have to be wary of because they will attack you and take anything that you have on your body away from you. Alligators. We went to an alligator crocodile show, which was pretty fun. So there's hikes and stuff you can do to waterfalls on P-Day, depending on how your mission has policies and getting permission and stuff. And so that's pretty fun. A lot of tourist items you can buy and paintings. People who live their life off of tourism, where they will do carvings of elephants and stuff like that. Mostly in Thailand, there's buses. You can usually get around with buses and taxi very well. We rode bikes all the time, most areas, except in Bangkok. Usually when you're in Bangkok, there's enough buses and taxis, and where it's safer to do that than ride your bike, especially. Although missionaries, I believe, still do it. Laos, bike riding all the time. It's a small enough city, and it gets pretty rural right outside of the main city. So we would ride bikes. So in Thailand, $1 is about 32 baht, which you can buy a decent plate of food, 35 baht. So you can get a meal for $1 in Thailand. In Laos, $1 or 30 baht is about what they call geeb, and it's 7,000 geeb. So they deal with a lot larger numbers. So the lowest bill or currency would have is 1,000 geeb. So sometimes it was easier just to refer to it as 1 geeb, but it's technically 1,000 geeb. So 7,000 geeb is $1 or 30 baht, I believe. But they were a little bit more expensive in Laos, so it would cost us about 10,000, 12, 14,000 geeb. So sometimes almost double, maybe like $1.50 or $2 for a plate of food in Laos compared to Thailand. Living where we were in Laos, there's only 4 missionaries or volunteers technically in Laos at the time, and we were right in the middle, the capital, and it was a lot more expensive to live there. I think I remember it being about 200 to 250,000. No, I can't. Was it 1,000? 200 to 250,000 geeb, I think, to live there. I can't remember if that was a month or not, but so it was really expensive. I just remember that. Where we were in Laos, it was a lot more expensive. I can't compare it to dollars, but compared to Thailand, it was a lot more expensive in Laos. In Thailand, I'm not sure exactly how much it costs to live there, but